And hello everyone, it's Tom, it's FANzine Live, and it is that time of the year, I guess you would say. I have to do a column for my membership in Tetragrammaton Fragments, the United Fanzine Organization newsletter. And that's the latest issue. In this column, I have to look at all the different zines that have come out since the last issue. Most members put their reviews, if you want to call them that, their commentary, their reviews, their insights, in the newsletter. I like to do mine on video. I firmly believe that more people see the videos than read Tetragrammaton Fragments. And my goal is, per the goal of the UFO, is to try to broaden readership and appreciation of small press comics and zines, among other things. I figure let's do them as videos and then we can all enjoy them even more. So we've got a lot of stuff to look at. We're going to start with looking at Tetragrammaton Fragments. John Muller, who I've worked with in the past, talented artist, put together a list of tool tips about making comics. Joe Ely Corrales has a children's book, if you will, called Sammy the Sapo. Larry Johnson, one of our longtime members, has The Horseman, number 8. And then Joe is back again with the latest issue of The Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty, and this is issue number 16. So we've got 5 books to take a look at. It's going to take us a little while to get through them all, so why don't you hit pause, go take a break, grab some more coffee, whatever you do, and we'll take a look at the zines and comics right after this. All right, let's get started. We've got Tetragrammaton Fragments, the United Fanzine Organization newsletter, issue 282. It's been going for quite a while. Both front and back cover, lovingly reproduced in color by Chairman Rob Imes. The work is by a friend of mine and a friend of the show, Keith Newsom. Keith, of course, was the subject of Strange Times number 6, the Renaissance Man issue. And he is indeed a Renaissance man. He's done some real nice stuff here. So glad to see Keith getting some additional exposure and having some fun drawing some great sci-fi type pieces. What do we have here in Tetragrammaton Fragments? As a co-op, it is our job to contribute to the newsletter on a regular basis. We talk about things related to UFO business, and we also take a look at each other's zines. So we've got our membership list, basic information from the chairman, Rob Imes, does a very nice job with that. This is Rob's column, so he's talking about things like the different zines, giving some impressions and reviews, if you will. John Muller, everybody gives their updates about what's going on in their lives and their comics and zine making work, and then they throw in their reviews. So you've got that. Kurt Erickson, Verholt Bond. You've got mine, and put in a little bit of information there. My link to my last video, and then some what I call back matter, which is just kind of personal stuff. Zinology report. Alan Sissom did his column in comic form. Joe Ely Corrales likes to do more academic style articles, and then he does his reviews kind of quasi-comic form. He mixes the comic format with more of a straight text. Larry Johnson is one of our longtime members, and he does some fantastic reviews. Always get some good insights out of him. Ken Bailey, creator of Mighty Energy Girl, did a very nice review on the Collected Cranium Frenzy Reader. Doc Hoff, Matt Hoffman. Heath Rowe went overseas. He was out west, and he's since moved to Portugal. Former chair Steve Keeter. And then we have the latest UFO checklist. So there you go. Tetragrammaton Fragments. We'll take a look at the next one in just a moment. John Muller has been offering up these tool tips in his UFO column in T-Frags for some time, and he decided wisely to pull them all together and put them into a zine of his own. A bit of a technical experiment as he explores options for printing zines and comics at home. Yes, folks, he did this glossy, full-color cover. He did this on his inkjet at home. This is beautiful. Quality of the gloss and the quality of the color and the print quality on this is just outstanding. And it's neat to see him experimenting. He also threw in, because he's talking about how to make comics, a sample page for an 8-page single-side mini comic, and he stuffed it into the zine. And then he went into his information about how to make comics, world building, copyright information, making out a story, the format of the different types of comics, penciling, inking, lettering, coloring. Again, he went to color here and it looks good. Layout, printing. DIY, print on demand, traditional printers, publishing, selling, and distribution, always a challenge, promotion, and then some resources that he's found online. This is a really helpful piece, and then some free software that you can use to make your comics or zines. I like this a lot. Like everything, I'm going to have information on how to get these in the show notes. This one, if you're interested in making zines on your own, you probably want to get this one because John knows what he's doing. Sammy the Sapo by Joe Ely Corrales' publishing house is a book by Kurt Mann with illustrations by Trudy Gildart. This is, as best I know, this is his first time doing a zine that he had no direct creative involvement in. This is Kurt's story. This is Trudy's art. He just looks like maybe did the layout and obviously printed it. And it is the story of a little toad who named Sammy, lived in a small pond behind an old red barn. Now, here's the interesting part of this as we go through. Looks like colored pencil artwork with an overlay of this framing, if you will, with text. Pretty nice. The artwork is not entirely super professional. The lettering, I think, is probably a bit much as far as the font that it was used. I mean, it's legible. It's good. But here's the catch. This is Sammy the Sapo, a book by Kurt Mann, illustrations by Trudy Gildart. Flip it over, it's the exact same book, but done in Spanish. And that's kind of cool. Now, the way he did it was, and you can see he has his dedication in Spanish. He has his text in Spanish. The artwork is exactly the same. And you can kind of see, looking at this side, I'm going to flip. We're now looking at the English. So he has in this landscape format, anything that's sitting, if you will, on the table is done in the language of the cover. Flip it over. We're now in the English. Interesting concept. I'm not a super huge fan of this method of delivering a bilingual publication. I've seen many different publications that will basically chop it in half and do half the book so that the top and bottom, if you will, are both in the same language. And you do the first half of the book in one language, and then you flip it over and you have one half of the book in the other language. I probably would have preferred that, but I do like the idea of a bilingual book using the exact same artwork and the exact same story. Joe, of course, being bilingual, he's got a special skill for that and might as well take advantage of it. So appreciate that in it. Also, another thing, we do note the UFO logo that is required for all United Fanzine Organization zines. You're also supposed to have the checklist, and this does not have the checklist. So that would have been nice to see as well. But hey, it's a good zine. Very nice to see it. And of course, Joe uses, I believe, Comic Wellspring, glossy, full color, cardstock cover. I mean, it's as professional as can be printed. So very nice on that front. Sammy the Sapo. You want a kid's book? It's right here. And now The Horseman, issue number 8. Larry Johnson is one of our longest serving United Fanzine Organization members. He has been doing his work since the 1960s. It's just incredible what he's done. He is now retired and has time and inclination to make a ton of comics, and he is extremely prolific. And he does them very nicely. Full-size comic. Doesn't use, well, maybe a slightly thicker cover, but it's not the cardstock stuff that we just saw with stuff from Comics Wellspring. I believe that Larry uses Kablam for his publishing. He has a very simple art style. However, I find it kind of attractive in his simplicity. He has great sense of form, doesn't waste lines, if you will. Just real nice, real simple, gets the point across. Now, The Horseman, and this is where it gets interesting. The Horseman is a trip, and by that, it could very well be conceived of as a whacked out dream, a drug trip. It could be just about anything. It is imagination gone wild. It is fun to read, but you're actually not doing a ton of reading because, with the exception of the title, the story title, and the credits, and of course this stuff in the front, the whole thing is totally stream of consciousness and no words, no lettering. The gloss paper is nice. It just doesn't show up super fantastic under the lights. Look at this. I can't even imagine how he lays this thing out and puts it together. But if you follow it, there actually is a narrative thread here. And it's the thread of following this piece of fabric all the way through. And the fabric, of course, then becomes threads. Then he starts going into a loom. You've got weavers. He's part of a carpet, or a rug, excuse me. Just incredible. Setting up smoke signals. It's wild. But in its own way, it kind of works. Then creates out of the loom, creates this character. Great dancing poses. Nice looking eagle. Spider lady. That one's a little different. Larry has a very solid understanding of form, and it works out great. You got your Kirby crackle rolling through this. And then you get back to the fabric. And I will note that the fabric here looks a lot like the fabric here. So are we in a loop? Quite possibly. He threw in a backup story. The Hopper Long Horseman. He's playing with the Edward Hopper, what is that called? Nighthawks artwork, and kind of extrapolates where Horseman would go from there. Some wild and crazy stuff. Throws in some comments. A lot of these comments are drawn from United FANzine Organization reviews and comments. Sometimes he occasionally gets reader mail, puts the letters in as well, and the checklist, which he is the creator of. Wow, Larry, it's another impressive issue. Glad to be able to show it off. Let's take a look at our last one coming up real soon. Finally, we have The Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty, The Baron of the Night, Part 1. Joe Ely Corrales loves his 3-part miniseries. He is doing it again with this one. The top appears to be the Don Simpson created masthead. Very nicely done. Simpson has a very noticeable and unique style to his work, so always neat to see that. But I will pay particular attention to my friend Terry S. Wood, who did the bottom part. If you like your Wandering Star, or some of the Accelerator work that we've had in Heroes Now, that's Terry Wood, and she is a great artist. She did not do the interior, she did the cover. That's more than enough for me. Little things on where things are going with the series. Another note on this one, and Joe loves his black backgrounds. That's kind of his signature thing to his style from a formatting point of view. He went to a matte paper on the inside. So he's got his cardstock Comics Wellspring cover, but he went to matte paper on the inside, and I dare say I like it more. I'm just a matte paper guy, I think, in general. I've been using it on my books, and I really like how this reads. Another thing I've noticed is Joe, again, is continually improving his artwork. It's a lot easier to read. Perhaps maybe the matte paper has something to do with it. I don't know. His cartooning is getting better every time, but the thing that really hit me over this issue as opposed to past issues is that it reads better. And I think that is because he's letting the artwork breathe a little. You still have a lot of captions. You still have a lot of word balloons. You still have a lot of story being delivered, but it's not this cascading volume of text. And so it gives you a chance to appreciate each of the different panels. And I dare say this is probably one of the best ones. So anyway, this is kind of a classic horror type story. You can kind of get a sense of the gothic type feel there. So they get this invitation to visit a house. They can't find the right one, but they think it might be this castle. Nice looking page. Looks like maybe threw in a digital background for the sunset and then superimposed the artwork over the front. I like that. You can do some really neat things digitally. That particular image shows a level of sophistication in artwork that Joe really has raised his game on. His core characters kind of have a stylistic look that you don't want to mess with, so he's not. The character's basically the Wonder Kitty and Improbable Girl. They've been looking like this pretty much all along, but that's really strong looking face and character work there. So anyway, this lady is a reluctant vampire, gives her backstory. There's this bad guy who turned her into a vampire, but that's it for her. So they go on they're in the castle, they go to this party, and they meet a guy who looks remarkably like this guy. Yes, he's back. And this person from the newspaper who was in the beginning ends up becoming his romantic object now. Not bad. checklist, nicely presented. New People's Journal is the back matter that Joe likes to put in every issue. So he does a little bit of a column. Then he lets some of his friends, in this case, Mark Rostick, and thank you for the pronunciation there because I have screwed it up in the past. That's a nice piece. And then Joe and Terry did a nice little piece, little one-pager showing off Joe's core characters. Then an up-and-coming artist and a nice ad for Cosmic Lion Productions. They're in the manga business. I particularly enjoy this one on the bottom. That looks nice. So yeah, another issue of Improbable Girl and Wonder Kitty. And there we go, everybody. That's it for this time around. I have fulfilled my obligation for the UFO newsletter, and we've looked at a bunch of great scenes. I'll have information on how to pick these up in the show notes. If you have interest in learning more about the United Fanzine Organization, I'll put some contact information for Chairman Rob Imes in there, but also you can just become a subscriber. We have some subscribers of the newsletter who are not members. They get to enjoy all the information as well. So that's it for this time. I think I will sign off, and I will catch you next time.